Okay, so we're going to get our rib roast ready to go here. So what I have is I've got a piece of cheesecloth unfolded. Under that I've got a cooling rack and a tray, just to make sure I don't make a mess. And I only have about 4 days to do this. I've done this though for a week, exactly what I'm going to do here. So I've got our rib roast. The bones have been cut off. This is about 4.5 pounds. It's really a good looking one, lots of nice marbling there. Bones have been cut off but then tied back on by the butcher. I don't mind either way, whether the bones are on or off. In this case they are cut off but tied back on. So we're just going to wrap this in cheesecloth, and this is going to go in the fridge now. Again, I've done this for up to a week and it's great. I only have about 4 days this time, but it's still going to be good. No seasoning, no nothing. It's just going to go in the fridge and sit like this now. So we'll see you in a few days. Hey, so I've decided to do something a little bit different with this prime rib. So real quick, we're going to make a little change here. I'm going to unwrap this cheesecloth. I'm going to keep using the cheesecloth, so I want to be careful with it. But I hope you can tell how this meat is sort of transforming, drying out in the fridge. The color is really deep red, pinkish red. The fat on top is drying out. Again, I'm only doing this for a couple of days. I've done it up to a week, and it really transforms the meat. And it's like a dry aging, really. So I'm going to cut this binder off real quick, and I'm going to remove the rib bones from this rib roast, because we're going to do something a little different with those, I've decided. So there's our ribs, 2 ribs, look beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and rewrap the rib roast. And I'm just going to leave the ribs uncovered. This is going back in the fridge. So next time we see you, we'll show you what we're going to do with these rib bones, and we'll get this prime rib cook going. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use these ribs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a stock using these ribs, and in turn a gravy for our prime rib. I'm normally a horseradish guy with prime rib, but I want to do something a little different for this holiday cook. So I'm going to take these 2 ribs and I'm going to split them in half. No science to it, just going to go down between them. There we go. Get this cutting board out of the way for 1 second. And then I've got some Wagyu beef tallow, just a tub that I get from Amazon that I keep on hand. And I'm just going to sort of grease up this foil covered cookie sheet with the tallow. Doesn't have to be perfect. And by the way, use any kind of oil you want here if you don't have the Wagyu beef tallow. I sort of take liberties in a lot of recipes that I get ideas from other people out on YouTube, and it never has to be exactly the same. You know, everything I'm doing here could be done in an oven, even though I'm about to roast this in the Traeger Timberline. So don't get caught up in feeling like you have to have everything. Just substitute and make it your own. So I'm going to throw some onions on here, going to leave the peels on. That's going to help with the color of the beef stock in the end. I've got a head of garlic that I just split in half. And now some carrots and celery that I've washed. And I'm just going to put our beef rib bones right in the center. So I'm not gonna take the camera out right now. I'm just gonna throw this on my Traeger Timberline at 400 degrees. I think I've got it at 415 actually. And we're gonna leave it on there for an hour. So I'll take the camera out when we pull it off. I'm just gonna put it on and set a timer for an hour. So we'll see you in a few minutes, or in 60 minutes. Okay, so I brought our rib bones in along with our veggies, and I'm going to drop them in this pot, which I have 4 cups of good beef stock in. And I'm going to use tongs here because I want to save the fat that is in the bottom of this pan, so I don't want to really dump stuff in. But I'm going to put everything in this pot. So our roasted veggies, our roasted beef ribs, skins and all. I'm going to end up straining this in case anybody is wondering. So all of it goes in the pool. Okay. Oh, one carrot trying to get away. All right, that'll do it. Now I'm gonna top this pot off with just some water to get it maybe an inch from the top. All right, now we're gonna turn the heat on this, kind of medium high, and wait for it to come to a boil. And then I will bring you back real quick, and this is gonna be on the stove for like 4 hours probably, maybe even a little longer, we'll see. So I'll bring you back soon. Okay, our beef stock is come to a boil, so I'm gonna turn it down to low now, and we're just gonna let it simmer. Again, a few hours. It's just going to reduce and reduce, but I am going to add a little seasoning to it. I'm not trying to completely season it, but I've got this beef seasoning that I'm going to use for the prime rib, and I want to kind of use the same flavor profile. So I'm just going to take a little pinch of that and just sprinkle it in, maybe a couple of pinches. And I fully expect to add more salt and pepper to this, but I'll do that at the end when I taste it. But we just want to get a little bit of our flavor profile going, and that'll be good. So I've got a strainer here. If I see any impurities, foam come to the top, I'm going to try to get it out of there. Not that big of a deal. And I also have our roasted beef tallow in a little dish that I'm just going to set aside. Actually going to put it in the fridge and save it for later. And we're gonna break it out when we build our gravy. So that's gonna be it for now. By the way, I'm a day in advance of when I'm gonna cook the prime rib. So, you can do stuff in advance, and in this case, I'm doing that with this beef stock, which will become gravy. So we'll see you when we come back. All right, we've been going right at 4 hours. Let me look actually. A little bit longer than 4 hours. So you'll notice how much liquid we've lost here, concentrating that beef flavor. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to let this come to or let it cool off a little bit, just so I don't scald myself. But I'm going to strain this out with a fine mesh strainer into another dish, and then get rid of everything in here. Matter of fact, let's just look. The easiest way to tell, I think, is to find one of those beef bones and see if that meat is just coming off, which it totally is. So that meat just pulls off. So I think this is good. I'm calling it good, and this is going to make a great, this is going to make a great stock and in turn gravy for our prime rib. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and we'll pick this back up tomorrow when we cook our roast beast, our smoked beast. So we'll bring you back. Okay, so we are going to cook our prime rib today. I actually wasn't feeling great yesterday and decided I wasn't going to cook it yesterday, which is when I was planning to. So it's been drying out, a little dry aging in the fridge for an extra day. So that'll be 3 days total, I believe. So we're going to get our seasoning ready. What I have here is a stick of good butter. It's Kerrygold butter, which I love. And I've got our seasoning mix that we put together the other day. So I'm going to get that mixed up. And I'm just going to drop maybe about half of this in for now. We'll see how that looks. And there's no better way to do this except just get in there with your hands. Using gloves, which makes it a little cleaner and easier. And just mix it up. Just incorporate all of that seasoning with the butter. And by the way, this butter's been sitting out overnight, getting soft. Okay. All right, that's gonna pretty much do it. I'm pretty happy with that seasoning as far as how much I put in there. It seems to be well mixed in, changed the color of the butter even. Sorry if I'm not getting in the camera. So that's going to be good. So the next thing we're going to do is grab our prime rib, and we're going to get that prime rib coated in this butter mixture, and we'll bring you back. All right, let's unwrap this package here. So this has been in the fridge for 3 days. If I weighed this before I put it in the fridge versus after, it might have lost 10 or 20% of its weight just from drying out, which is going to concentrate that flavor. Hope this is showing up in the camera okay, but you can see the color. Now, if you left it in there for any more time, you might need to cut a little bit of this outer edge of fat off. This isn't too bad. Boy, look at that. It's gorgeous. Look how, I hope that color is coming through. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our butter mixture and we're just going to spread it all over the outside pretty liberally. Going to use this whole mixture. So just start on each side. It really doesn't matter where you start. A little on the bottom there. This is where those bones were that we made our bone broth from. Really not a true bone broth, but it's going to make some great gravy. And now we're going to do the top and the back side. And we're still probably a few hours away from cooking this. Not probably, we are a few hours away from cooking this. We got something to go to today. So it's going to be for dinner tonight, and it's mid-morning right now. So there we go. So this is going to go in the fridge now, just uncovered like this, and just bathing in this butter bath with the seasonings. All right, there we go. So we will bring you back when we get the Traeger pellet grill fired up and get this cooking. By the way, I'm using the Traeger today, but this can be done in the oven. It can be done whatever cooking method you want to do. It'll be totally fine. So we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, it is time to cook our rib roast. So I've got the Traeger Timberline pellet grill with hickory pellets at 325 degrees. I want to do a little bit higher than a normal smoking because I sort of want to try to develop a decent crust. We'll see if that happens. Either way, it'll be good. I'll show you our rib roast right now. It's been in the fridge with our butter spice mixture all over it. Let me turn a light on, see if I can. So hopefully you can see that, or at least part of it. So here's what we're gonna do. And by the way, you can use any kind of cooker you want for this, including your oven. So I'm gonna put a foil pan on the main rack, and then I'm going to put our rib roast on the elevated rack, just because I know this is gonna release a lot of fat and moisture and butter. And then I've got our probe that is wired into the Traeger, and we're gonna put this right in the center of our meat. There we go. And we're gonna go to, I have the alarm set for 125. I'll probably let it go into 130 before I pull it. It'll carry over a few degrees for sure. And 135 would be a good temperature for this. So we're just gonna close this up and let it go. Probably bring you back at least once to take a look. But looking forward to this holiday rib roast. All right, so our internal temperature is at 82 degrees. So for all intents and purposes, we're about halfway through this cook. So let's take a look real fast. I'm gonna be pretty quick here. I don't wanna leave the lid open very long, it's chilly. Ooh, looking good. Let me move the camera a little, see if I can zoom in. That is looking great so far. Great color, smells great. So I'm loving this. So we're gonna let this go again till about 120, 125, then be ready to pull it off before it hits 130. So we will see you soon. So while this prime rib is coming up to temperature, let's go ahead and get our gravy done. Like I say, normally I sort of like just like a creamy horseradish, but we're gonna do something a little different tonight, and we're gonna do a nice gravy. So I've got a couple of tablespoons of butter in this saucepan. The other thing I have is, if you remember that beef fat that we extracted from those bones when we roasted them, I'm just gonna toss that in because why not? There we go. And we'll let that melt while we're doing that. So a lot of people would put mushrooms in this type of gravy. None of us here are really that big a fan of mushrooms. I sort of wish I liked mushrooms, but I have a secret ingredient that I'm using, which is umami powder, and umami powder is made from dried shiitake mushrooms. So you get that umami that mushrooms would bring. Also a little salt, so I'm gonna be careful about how much salt I add to this until I try it. But we're gonna go ahead and pretend like we're putting some mushrooms in there. Heck, may as well put it all in. So that's our umami powder. We got, like I say, our beef fat and some good quality butter, a couple of tablespoons. So we're gonna let that melt, break down that umami powder a little bit. And then we've got some flour. So I'm just gonna add a tablespoon at a time, probably take up to 2 tablespoons total, but just get 1 tablespoon in there and give it a good stir. And we're making a roux, of course. You wanna make sure to cook that raw flour taste out of there. So we're gonna give it a couple of minutes. And we'll go ahead and add that 2nd tablespoon. There we go. And give that a stir. so you can see that. And now we have our beef stock that we made. Actually, there's a little fat in there that I want to skim off the top. Grab a slotted spoon. There we go. And now we'll slowly start to add this. I'll end up using all of this, I'm certain of that, but I'm going to stop in stages and sort of get it incorporated. And other than that umami powder, I'm going to try this before I add anything else to it as far as salt and pepper, because we already did add some of that spice mixture to our stock. So we'll add a little more there. And as I'm sure you know, when you build a gravy with a roux, you're not going to know your thickness until it comes to a good simmer, if not a boil. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of our stock. And there we go. So as that comes up to a good simmer, if not a boil, I am going to go ahead and try this. That's really good already. Oh man. So I'm going to add a little bit of W sauce. That'll give us a little more salt, and as well as some good flavor. Lea and Perrins is fine if that's what you have. I personally love this W sauce. I'm about to the point where I need to order more. All right, we're gonna let this come to a good simmer. I'll let you go for now. This has been a 6-minute clip, so I wanna try to shorten this. All right, the very last thing I'm gonna add to this, it still needs to thicken up just a little bit, but I've got a little balsamic vinegar. I'm just gonna maybe a tablespoon or a half tablespoon even. Gonna eyeball it. That I think will be good. And that will sort of, let's put it this way, you could tell people that you deglazed with red wine now, and that's what that's sort of going to mimic. So this needs to thicken up, but I'm gonna let this go from here. You can reduce this as much as you want and get it to the thickness that you want. I tasted it before the balsamic. Let's try it right now. Man, that is outstanding. I actually feel like it could use a little salt, which surprises me, but I'm gonna add just a pinch. And that's gonna do it. So let's get back to our prime rib, and we'll see you at the smoker. Okay, the alarm just went off, so we're about 5 degrees away from our target. Oh man, that looks really good. Zoom in a little here. So here's what I'm gonna do. Oh gosh, that is gorgeous. I'm gonna get the camera set up inside and get it ready. I'm gonna give this a few more degrees. We're 4 degrees out now. And then I'm gonna get this inside and let it rest for a good 15 to 20 minutes at least. And then we'll get the camera back on and we'll get it sliced. And we're ready to eat dinner here. So we'll see you soon. Okay, so we are ready to slice into this, and we are ready to eat dinner here. So we're at the end of a 4-day long cook. Not that I was cooking for that long, but you know what I mean, and it's time to cut into this. Got our gravy here that I could eat like Newman ate mulligatawny on Seinfeld. Oh man, it's cutting like butter. Oh, let me see how that's coming through on the camera. Wow. Hey, I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to take a quick picture. Okay, thumbnail done. This really looks outstanding. I'm just going to cut a little piece off the corner here. Give it a try without gravy. That's amazing. Oh man. Everybody, I hope you and yours have an outstanding holiday season and good food, friends, family, and we will see you next time at Buckeye Barbecue. You got to do this rib roast. Oh my gosh, look at that color and the juiciness. Oh, so good. Like and subscribe. Make it my Christmas present. I'd appreciate it. We'll see you. Merry Christmas.